Hi everyone, this week we've got Sam on the show. We're going to be talking about stock predictions, public expectations, and why agent fees are important across the industry for rising them. So Sam, before we do anything useful, can I have a quick introduction from you, please, as to who you are, what you've been up to?
Thanks, Lee. Hi, everybody. My name's Sam Hunter. I'm co-founder and CEO of Homesearch. We are a data and prospecting platform for estate agents.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show. And the first question I got is some stock predictions and why agents are facing them.
Right. So I don't know about predictions, but I think at the moment, right, there's at least there's a feeling that there is a bit of a stock crisis out there. And I think rather than calling it a stock crisis, let's call it for what it really is, which is that there are a fairly large percentage of people out there at the moment stuck because they think that there's nowhere to move, so they don't want to move. Less stock begets less stock. I said this to a guy the other day that I think it's only a stock crisis for those agents who trade in transactions. It's a bit of a life crisis to the people who are actually forming part of those transactions. But when I remember when COVID first came out, and it was probably the first major crisis, genuine crisis I faced in my career, and I decided that you can't waste these. When people have problems, and those problems are common, if you can find a solution to them, then you end up, if you can control the problem, you can control the solution. You can control that solution, you can control the market. I think the reason why there's issues right now in terms of stock numbers for agents is that usually when the market gets strong, and I think it's pretty fair to say that it's been strong over the last couple of years, all of the basics get forgotten about. By that I mean the results come. So a sale or a let comes without a lot of struggle, and that core focus of the estate agency, because you're effectively just printing money, falls away. And so those basics of building relationships, having really consistent marketing, having really consistent prospecting, and they're two different things. Marketing is about brand, prospecting is about responses, right? All of that's kind of dropped off because everyone's gone, all I've got to do is list something and I'm going to sell it. And I've lost track of the amount of conversations I'm having when people say, I literally sell everything that I have. And the reason why that's happened is because when it is easy to get that result, you end up stopping to serve everybody else. There's a statistic out there that there's 29 buyers, genuine buyers, for every property that's currently on the market. I would wager, and I've given up gambling, given up drinking, but I would put a tenner on this, right? That if you asked 10 of those 29 people that if I could find you where to live, would you sell your house with me? 10 of those people would say yes. And that's the real problem. That's why there's a crisis, because those 10 people don't think there's anything for them to buy. So if you serve, you sell. And why there's a stock crisis at the moment is because when you stop serving, because it gets a bit easy, you stop selling.
Yeah, no, and I think you're right there with if you could find those out of the 29, if you could find 10 of them a place to move, then they probably would, because that is the thing, is if there's nothing to move to, what's the point of putting your house on the market? You're just going to sit there waiting. So I completely agree with that. And I want to ask you about the public's expectation of agents and how that's changed and will continue to change in the future.
Right. So I think this is probably the right moment in time to actually have this conversation, because again, when a market is really strong, and I think it's been generationally strong for the last 2 years, it appears really, really easy to be an estate agent. And actually, when the market is really strong, it's a bit harder to be a really good agent, because we talked about earlier that you don't have to struggle to get a good result. So sellers know their homes are going to sell, right? They're probably going to get a great price. They're probably thinking to themselves, doesn't matter who sells my house. I just want to go with the cheapest, not understanding that the cheapest agent is the one that gets them 5, 10, 15 grand more, even if they're only going to charge them 2 grand more. So the issue that agents have, right, is that, and the expectation of the customer after this incredibly buoyant, racy, spicy market, whatever you want to call it, is that all agents are the same. We know that's false, but what we know doesn't matter, because we're not the ones making the decision. So coming back to that point about knowing the difference between marketing and prospecting, but making sure you do both consistently, you've got to be showing your difference. It's never been easier as an estate agent. I can literally relate anything to estate agency, right? But it's never been easier to stand out in a crowded marketplace All you've got to do is know what you stand for. So know your values and communicate that really clearly, right?
Hmm.
So I would always say to people all the time, if a customer, if the public, I'm cautious not to call them customers, but if a member of the public assumes that you're going to be like every other agent, start by telling them that you're going to call them every day.
Hmm.
Because there's going to be no other agent out there that's going to do that. They're going to talk about Rightmove. They're going to talk about photos. They're going to talk about floor plans. They're going
Hmm.
to talk about a list of buyers that they've got ready to show them their house, and I can bring them over tomorrow. What they're not going to
Hmm.
talk about is service, and how the better you can serve somebody, the better the results actually come. I would always say to my clients back when I was an agent, I think once you are one forever for your sins. But I would say to them, the more we talk, the better the price is for your home. The less we talk, the
Yeah.
worse the price is for your home. And if you're sitting there thinking, what is a consumer expecting of me now? The harsh reality of it is it's not much, because they think they can probably do it themselves. So if you can walk into a valuation and surprise them, you're going to go a hell of a long way to actually winning their business.
100%. I love that, Sam, with the service, calling them every day. I think if you take nothing else from this, I think that's a fantastic takeaway from to think of, because you are right. Not some agents probably will out there, that the fantastic ones, but some of them won't call every day, and you
Mm,
will be talking about the floor plans and the virtual tours and the other things that a lot of agents are. Don't get me wrong, it's all fantastic and it is great. The virtual tours, I'm a big fan of them, think they're fantastic. Um, but I do agree with you. The service is something that you can use to differentiate yourself every single time, because not everybody
absolutely.
provides fantastic service.
Everything else is a commodity, right? You're not. So you've got to
Hmm.
communicate that really, really well. That's how you command
Yeah.
really strong fees.